Hello again and welcome to the Lens Gallery at the Museum of Scottish Lighthouses. So for today's object I decided I would talk about a lens. It's really what the museum here is known for. We have probably the largest collection of lenses anywhere in Europe. We're very lucky that most of our lenses, the vast majority, were donated by the Northern Lighthouse Board. So this is probably one of our most well-known lenses. It tends to be the one that people photograph and ends up on Facebook or TripAdvisor. So I thought I would just talk about this one here. One thing we do find from our visitors, although they enjoy going around the museum and they find the lenses very aesthetically pleasing, they often go away not really understanding what they actually do. They go away with a general understanding, but because they're all stationary, for example, they can't appreciate how they work. So the lens I'm talking about today, this one came from Neist Point in Skye. It was made in 1908 by the Chance Factory in Birmingham for the lighthouse, which was first lit in 1909 the following year. So it's about 9 foot tall and it's described as the first order lens. So that means it's the second, well, more or less the second largest size of lens you'll find in a lighthouse. You decide the lens not by the height of it, but instead from the distance between the lamp in the middle and the glass. So this is 920 millimeters between the light source and the face of the lens here. So why does it look like this? It's not just because the designers wanted it to look pretty. It's designed with a practical purpose in mind. So as I'm sure you're aware, all lighthouses had their own characters, their own flashes more or less. So the one at Neist Point, that had to flash twice every 30 seconds. So looking at the lens, you've probably noticed there are 2 bullseyes surrounded by prisms on each side, and that accounts for how it flashes. So whenever these bullseyes were directly facing your direction out at sea, so you might be 10, 15, 20 miles away, all the light's being directed in your direction and you'll see that sharp flash. So that's how it basically works. Again, being a stationary lens in the museum, we can't demonstrate how it works. It weighs about 4 tons, so we can't have it going around. So you've got to imagine this would float in a bath of mercury. Beneath that would be a clockwork mechanism which would connect the whole thing, being driven by a dropping weight. So that mechanism, the whole point of it was to pull the lens round precisely, so it took 30 seconds to go round. So as it goes round, 30 seconds you get one flash, then another, and then 30 seconds again. So it was very important the keeper got that right. That's one of his main responsibilities. If he fails to have the lens rotating in the right speed, he will be dismissed for that, for exhibiting a false character. So it's very important indeed. The prisms around the bullseyes, they are Stephenson's equiangular prisms. So they were an invention of his from the 1890s. They essentially work to capture more of the light source. As the light sources got larger, they found the traditional lenses were losing some of the light. So really this design of lens goes against everything the Fresnel family really invented in the 1820s. So whether you can still call it a Fresnel lens, we do, but you can probably argue it's not a Fresnel lens. So I'll go around the back of the lens now to show you what's going on around the other side. Right, so this is the back side of the lens. As you can probably see from myself standing beside it, there isn't a lot of light coming out the back. That's as designed really. All the light should be going out the front. So although it looks like these might be prisms directing light, they're actually doing the opposite. They're not directing light outwards, they're directing the light inward. So just to show you how that's working, this is actually the doorway into the lens here, so let's give that a wee pull. And you'll see, looks like it's very smooth. So that's what we call a dioptric mirror. So essentially, rather than, as I mentioned, making the light go outwards, it's directing it back into the middle of the lens to reuse the light in the center again. So just to show you how that works, I'll move the camera slightly into the wall space. And when I close the door again, you'll see how it's reflecting the light around. There we are. So all that light is being reflected back into the center of the lens and being reused. Many lenses would use about 70% of the original light source, So again, that's one of the things that designers are trying to do, is to make the most use of the light available from the lamp in the center. So it's a fantastic piece of engineering. It's not just meant to look pretty. I do hope this video has given you a bit of a insight into what the lenses actually do. So thank you for listening and watching. Thank you.